Alright, welcome back to part 2 of the unboxing of the Cyberpower PC with the RTX 3090. First thing, I want to apologize to everybody out there that we didn't get this video out sooner. We actually did have a video. It was uploaded, but after review and careful consideration, we determined that the video wasn't quite ready yet. So rather than rush the video out, we figured we'd make sure that we did it right. And we just haven't had much of an opportunity to get it done, so until now, so that's the good news. Today we're going to look at the system. It's all set up, dialed in, and we've had ample time to take it for a test drive. And we're going to share some of the performance metrics with you guys, so you can see what the RTX 3090 can do. And we're going to be looking at the system here. First thing you'll notice about it is that, besides the bunch of wires there, this is kind of a makeshift stand we have. We really didn't want to put it on the carpet, of course. We wanted to make sure it had adequate ventilation. So this is just temporary, but the nice thing is it kind of matches the rest of the decor in the house if you've seen our other videos. And it has this this fine mesh screen here that goes on the top. It's it sticks magnetically to kind of prevent dust. I keep it open because this thing generates a tremendous amount of heat. It's like a small space heater. And you'll probably notice here too that for the RTX 3090, it actually is the EVGA for the Win 3, which was a pleasant surprise. I did not expect that. Nowhere in the item description did it say it was a EVGA for the Win 3. And I didn't even know after doing the initial unboxing video that we posted that it was, because it had packing materials inside the case. But of course, after setting it up, I realized quickly that it was the EVGA for the Win 3. And most of you probably already know this, but the EVGA for the Win 3 is a little bit souped up. It has a little more horsepower than most of the other 3090s, which is great. I believe, and I could be wrong on this, but from what I've read online, the only 3090 that's superior in performance is the Asus Strix. So this is great. And of course, we got the liquid cooling module, you got your fans, the RTX, the Ryzen 9 5900X CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, although I'm still not sure what speed those are. Although I wish it had 4 slots for RAM in case I wanted to expand that, but then again, 32 is quite a bit, and even 64 is a ton of RAM. I'm not sure that we would need more RAM than 64 megs if we ever got to that point. But the top has a couple of USB ports, jacks. The power button is in the center, and then these buttons here actually change the RGB lighting, which is kind of cool. I'm not huge on the aesthetics. I mean, I think it's okay. I'm more concerned with the performance than the aesthetics, but if they're there, hey, why not use them? So that's pretty cool, and they can be shut off completely if you want to. So now I'm just trying to get this thing back to where it was before. There we go. And so we're going to be looking at Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, this game can be very graphically demanding when you turn up the metrics on it, especially all the way. And number two, it actually provides us with some in-game performance metrics, which is kind of nice, because that way we can see exactly how the 3090 is performing. So we're going to take a look at this. And then, oh, one other thing that I want to mention too, real quickly, and I want to show you guys, especially if you're not very experienced with PCs like myself, and I'm not, this is only my second PC. There were 2 issues with this when I went to set it up. Number one, it would recognize but not access the external hard drive. So even though it showed up on the PC that it was connected, it would not access it. And number two, my Xbox One controller would constantly disconnect after 30 to 40 seconds. I'd have to reboot the computer and repeat the process, and it would still disconnect, and it drove me crazy. So don't do like I did, and please read your directions, because I didn't. And this PC actually came with this little thing here, this repeater. And this repeater just being plugged in allowed the Xbox One controller to connect and not have any issues. So I haven't had any connectivity issues since I set that up. And I did call Cyberpower PC for some help, and to their credit, they walked me through it right away, their tech support, He asked if I had that little repeater connected, and I said, well, no, I really didn't think much of it. And the reason why I didn't think much of it was because even with my old PC that only had a i7 core, Intel i7 core, and a RTX 2080, there was no repeater necessary. It was just plug and play for both the external hard drive as well as the Xbox One controller. So I didn't know why that was necessary. As far as the recognition and accessing the external hard drive, there had to be some software downloaded. And again, the Cyberpower PC IT support, he walked me through it, told me exactly where to go to get that software when I told him what brand of external hard drive we were using, and it was no problem. So make sure you read the directions and just know to plug in that repeater if you're going to connect a controller. So we're going to check this out real quick and go through some performance metrics with Assassin's Creed here. And I've already got the game loaded up. And then something else to note too, if you guys have Steam, most of you do if you play some games, the nice thing is when you do get a new computer, although you do have to download your software, most of your saves are going to be intact. So I've got a few hours into Assassin's Creed, but I got a lot of hours into other games like Bloodstained and others, and I got to keep all those game saves because they're in the cloud. Now, I did lose some saves for a couple of games. I know one of them was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, the original. I don't know how the remastered is. I didn't get the remastered because the original was $6 on sale, and it's still in 4K at 60 frames, even though it's an 11-year-old game, and it still looks pretty good even by today's standards. But most of your game saves will still be in the cloud, including your Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so you don't have to worry about starting over from the scratch. And so I've got this game loaded up, and one thing I want to show you guys here, I'm going to go to the options screen, is right here. We've got pretty much everything cranked to the max for the graphics. Ultra high, anti-aliasing. Now you can go higher on this, but then it's really not higher, it's adaptive, and that drops the frame rate, so we don't want to do that. So we're just going to leave it on high, ultra high for the shadows, ultra high for environment details, texture detail is as high as it gets, terrain. So everything's cranked up to the max on this, every category. And then on the display, we've got the maximum resolution, which is 3840 by 2160. And the resolution modifier is the only thing we're going to leave at 100%. And the nice thing is here, you can see this game tells us the CPU, the GPU. It's got the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X and the RTX 3090 listed here. I don't know why it says monitor Marantz AVR. That's actually the audio video receiver, but at least it recognizes the hardware that we're using. And it's telling us right now we're getting about 54 frames per second, which sounds about right. Just going by the eyeball test, this looks pretty smooth here. And again, remember, everything is cranked up on here except for the resolution modifier. But everything else is at the absolute max. And you can see it runs pretty smooth, which is nice. This is a beautiful game. The draw distance is amazing on this. Everything is beautiful. Now, going back to the options screen, we're just going to go all the way to 200% real quick. We're going to go to 200% modifier and see what happens for performance. Because the other thing is, you can see here, the game shows our VRAM usage, and even at everything cranked to the max, including the resolution modifier at 200%, the VRAM, we're only using about half of it because we got so much VRAM. We got 24 megs with that 3090, and we're only using about 11. So we're going to see what happens here. And I'm going to show you guys. Here we go. Now with my old PC with the RTX 2080, this would be completely unplayable. There's no way you could crank that up to 200%. So you can see it's still playable, but it's definitely choppy. The frame rate is definitely choppy. You can see that. So I'm thinking less than 30 frames per second here, definitely at some points. Probably closer to 20 to 25 frames per second, maybe even less sometimes. But it is playable with everything cranked to the max. And again, my old PC would never be able to handle that. Now if we go back to the options screen, it's saying 41 frames average, but I don't think that that's correct. In fact, I'm sure that that's not. I'm sure that's closer to below 30. But again, at least it's playable. So I'm going to put it back down to maybe 100 or 120. Save it. Still looks like there's a little bit of a frame rate drop, but not much at 120 resolution modifier. But that's it. That's what this 3090 can do. So if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. And thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it.